Welcome everyone. This is Lady G at Great Basin Alchemy, and I am so grateful that I am finally able to make this video for the new moon in Pisces, February 2020, and finally post it. We are a little more than halfway through Mercury retrograde proper. It goes direct on the full moon on March 9th. And I'm curious how you all are doing, if you've had any challenges that have come up for you, what has been revealed to you during this event of issues that are ready to be healed and shifted. And I'm curious if anyone is having any odd issues with technology or your vehicles or your travel plans. So my television keeps randomly adjusting the volume based on what I most recently did. For example, if I lowered the volume, it will randomly continue to lower it incrementally until I have to turn it up again. And then it will randomly increase the volume incrementally until I have to lower it again. Lather, rinse, repeat. And it's only started doing this since Mercury went retrograde proper. So I'm very curious to see if this odd little technology glitch stops after Mercury goes direct, or if there's something faulty with the television, or if there is something I'm supposed to learn from this. That's being revealed to me in some way that I haven't figured out yet. So I'm just curious if something like that is showing up for you during this Mercury retrograde. So for me, a couple of big things have happened during this Mercury retrograde. Several big things have happened. One of the things is that I went to a channeling retreat and learned some tips for strengthening my skills. So I'm very excited to practice those things. And I also have had some pretty dramatic lessons revealed around judgment. Yes, dramatic is the right word. Some of which have really knocked me out for a bit, where I wasn't really able to function very well. However, I am learning slowly over these 3 weeks of what is ready to be healed and shifted. And there is some really lovely information that is starting to come through about judgment, and I'm really grateful, even despite all of the knocks that really have knocked me on my ass, to be very frank. I'm really grateful for the information that is coming through, that I'm understanding in a really deep and profound way, because this is a topic that I have been wanting to understand more completely for a very, very long time. And I'm really excited to be able to share some of these insights with you in the future. We're going to touch on two pieces. Well, we're going to touch on an aspect that has come through as being a really key component when we're dealing with healing the pattern of judgment. And so I'll be sharing that with you as part of the protocol process. But before we get into that, I posted a short video on resetting and recalibrating your timing mechanisms for Mercury retrograde, and I'm really interested to know how that has affected you, if it's been helpful for you, if it's made a difference for you. You're also going to need to do that same protocol as we exit out of Mercury retrograde proper, and then again throughout the post-shadow phase as you feel compelled to do it, because time will gradually speed up during that process. And anyway, I'm interested to see if it has helped you find the flow more easily through Mercury retrograde, which then allows you to accomplish more and see things in a deeper way than you would at any other time, especially in compared to the people around you who might be still mixed up in frustration or mired in frustration, maybe feeling like they're banging their heads against a wall trying to accomplish something and nothing is working out for them, and they're just constantly in anger and frustration mode. I'm wondering if you're seeing that in the people around you, and yet for you, for the most part, you're able to flow, you're able to do what you need to do without these frustrations. And for those of you who are driving, I'm interested to see if you're noticing differences in people while they're driving, particularly around those couple of days where Mercury stations before going retrograde or stations before going direct. People really tend to be impatient on the road, and a lot of road rage can come up during that time. And or they're, especially when we come out of Mercury retrograde, usually by the end of 3 weeks, most people have calibrated somewhat their timing mechanisms, and they're moving more slowly, or they might be a little more spaced out. And so as you're coming out of Mercury retrograde, there tend to be accidents because people aren't paying attention. Their reflexes are slower because their timing components are a little bit off. So I'm curious to see what you have noticed, and if that protocol helped you at all in making that transition and that adjustment. I'm also curious about what barriers to love have revealed themselves to be ready to be shifted for you, or transformed. And are you in the middle of the cocoon? Because we're a little more than halfway through Mercury retrograde proper. So I would expect that everyone's kind of a pile of mush at the moment. Just not really sure as to where you're going, what's happening, or understanding what's going on. Things might just be a really big mess at the moment. If that is you, just hang in there. It's almost over. And if it's not almost over for you, if this is a particularly deep Mercury retrograde for you, as it has been for me, it probably won't really be over until the post-shadow ends. But I am receiving glimpses of understanding. Like just yesterday, I received some really amazing pieces of information and understanding around judgment, which is the issue that's come up for me as a barrier for love. And it's really starting to shine a light on the path through this for me, through this issue. So you should be starting to receive a little bit of light, a little bit of revelation, a little bit of understanding, or a door or a path through whatever issue has come up for you as being a barrier for love. So even if it will last for another month or so for you, trust that you will soon see a way. You will soon understand where you're headed and where you're going, which is for me always really helpful and helps me to relax into the process a little bit more, and which will help that shift happen more easily and more quickly. Finding that aha moment is really key to that process, and so that should start to pop up for you right about now if it hasn't already. And so I just encourage you to trust this process and allow it to unfold and allow it to happen, because it will bring positive results in the long run for you. And that really is the key to what we're going to be talking about today, in terms of protocols, and that is trust. So there are many, many pieces to trust, all of which are incredibly important. But today we're going to talk about 2 pieces. Trust is a fundamental piece to life and being able to thrive. As I was learning to be a parent, I had a crash course on this. I don't even remember how I came across this information, but I'm incredibly grateful I did. The information I received from multiple different sources said that the single most important thing a newborn learns is if he, she, or they can trust the parents. Do the parents respond and meet the baby's needs in a timely fashion every single time the baby cries? Because that's how babies and newborns communicate. That's the only way they know how to communicate at first, is through their cries. And so if their cries are met quickly with a solution for their needs, and their needs are met every single time, that baby learns to trust the parent, that their guardian, their parent, their caretaker is going to be there for them every single time they need it. You can't skip out. You can't delay. It has to happen immediately, or as immediately as possible, every single time. Or do the parents restrict food to a feeding schedule, or limit the amount that a baby can eat because they think a baby should only be able to consume so much milk or formula, instead of letting the baby decide how much it needs and how often it needs it? Or maybe the parents or caretakers don't hold the baby because they've been told that it spoils the baby and it makes the baby dependent on you, and it's your job to teach them to be independent. All the studies that I read show that these things were completely the opposite of how happy, healthy, independent children and emotionally stable children grow to be happy, healthy, independent, and emotionally stable adults, because of the trusting that your baby knows what it needs, how often it needs, how much it needs. Holding a baby never spoils the baby. It simply gives the baby what they need. And when you do that, when you address the need, when you respect the child, when you respect the baby to know what it needs, when it needs, how much it needs, and how often it needs, the baby learns that you as the parent and the caretaker can be trusted to provide everything they need when they need it, as well as you teach the baby from a very early age that they can trust themselves. If, on the other hand, a child or as a baby does not experience trustworthy parents or caregivers, the ability of that child to trust themselves or others or form bonding relationships is severely damaged. And because this is an existence and root chakra issue, trust plays a vital role in the well-beingness of every human. So, that's why we're addressing this today as part of shifting our foundations. Remember, at the beginning of this year, the first 3 months were about emergence and laying the foundations for what we're going to need for the rest of the calendar year. This was talking about what is available to us on high from our guides and our angels and our teams, and encouraging us to speak truth, be honest, and increase our courage to speak up with grace and love and compassion while still holding our boundaries in a loving and non-judgmental way. And this is something that some of the information that has been coming through, and I'm going to address more deeply in the full moon in Virgo video. And then here we're moving into a new home. Moving is a step in the right direction. Now, I already covered that, meaning that could be an energetic new home. It could be a relational new home, how you interact with other people. It could be a physical new home. It could just mean your perspective changes. And so I can really see that happening during this Mercury retrograde, is that some really incredible shifts are happening for people during this time. So trust is going to be an incredibly important component to all of this process as a foundation for everything from here on out, because it is such a key piece to the existence of your being. So this first step that we're going to do is we're going to bring that trust back onto ourselves and ground and anchor into our own trust within our own divine lines. As we do this, we tap into the universal source of trust with divinity, who I can attest from multiple experiences in my own life will always provide for your needs when you need them, just like a trustworthy parent. So, we're going to activate that piece first. The second piece is that we're going to adjust trust levels with the people around us. First the vertical adjustment and then the horizontal adjustment. So the key to trusting others is to only trust another to the degree they trust themselves, and never more than they are capable of holding, unless, of course, you need to do so for the purposes of a lesson or for breaking open your heart, which is another topic altogether. But I'm going to repeat that first part again. The key to trusting others is to only trust another to the degree they trust themselves, and never more than they are capable of holding. Think of this in terms of an equalizer for speakers, but each person has a different speaker setup. Some setups can handle massive amounts of bass, while others only have treble and mid-range available. If interacting with the latter setup of only having treble and mid-range speakers available, you are probably not going to enjoy listening to Grieg's Hall of the Mountain King, which has a lot of bass. Similarly, how you trust another is going to greatly enhance your inner peace and discernment in your relationship with others, which will in turn enhance all of your relationships even if it means some of those relationships fall away a bit or completely, that relationship is still enhanced because now it's balanced. Now one person isn't trusting beyond what the relationship is capable of sustaining. So here we go. We invite you at the level of your higher self to work with your energetic fields and the guides to locate all of your trust that you have placed on others or experiences or places or things, and gently lift all of your trust up and off of everyone and everything, bringing it all back to you at the level of your higher self, cleansed, cleared, and recalibrated to this present breath of now. We invite you to bring that trust down your divine line into your root chakra, anchoring it in alongside safety and increased magnetics. We invite you to increase the amount of trust in your root chakra and your magnetics to the degree that supports your greatest happiness, your spiritual evolutionary state, and your electrical systems that you are holding. We ask this to be done in all dimensions and lifetimes where you express yourself. Same for your body, Deva, and teams. Also updating all reference points, all ways of being, perceiving, and being perceived. Then we invite you at the level of your higher self to locate everyone in your life with whom you desire to share a trusting relationship. We invite your higher self to only place as much trust in that person as that person trusts themselves, creating an appropriate balance according to each person's spiritual evolutionary state and capacity to hold trust. Do this for each relationship in all dimensions and lifetimes where you express yourself. Same for your body, Deva, and your teams. Updating all reference points, all ways of being, perceiving, and being perceived. And as that shifts, I'm going to pull 3 cards for affirmations or a mantra that could be helpful to you during this time. I'm not going to say for how long. I will let you decide how long you need this particular mantra or affirmation that's appropriate for you. We'll choose 3. Here's 1. Here's 2. And let's see. This one is 3. These are really beautiful. This one says, I express my creativity, my unique and creative talents and abilities flow through me and are expressed in deeply satisfying ways. My creativity is always in demand. This one, it is only a thought, and a thought can be changed. I am not limited by any past thinking. I choose my thoughts with care. I constantly have new insights and new ways of looking at my world. I am willing to change and grow. And finally, I am in the process of positive change. Rather appropriate for Mercury retrograde. I am unfolding in fulfilling ways. Only good can come to me. There's the trust. Trust that only good can come to you. I now express health, happiness, prosperity, and peace of mind. From that trust, trusting yourself first, and others only to the degree that they are capable of trusting themselves and holding. So with that, I'm going to wrap you up in sheets of rainbow light, gently sealing in these vibrations to whatever degree is appropriate for your spiritual evolutionary state. We are in deep gratitude to you for your service and for your courage and commitment to shift, grow, and evolve. For as you do, you shift humanity. Let it be so, and so it is.